Hello students, today we will begin new chapters as well as the last chapters from history. The name of the chapter is Nazism and the rise of Hitler. So dear students, as we have heard in the world history that the period of Hitler was considered the most important events in the world history because Hitler was a great dictator who was responsible for the Second World War, which resulted the death of 50 million peoples in the war. So here the Hitler was very ambitious and he wanted to conquer the rest of Europe and wanted to extend his powers in rest of the European country and establish his supremacy. So here, being the very powerful dictator who was considered one of the great emperor in the world history. So dear students, in this unit, we will discuss how the Hitler who came into power and what are the factors which forced him to become the great dictator. All these concepts we shall be learning together. So dear students, it was during the period of spring seasons in 1945. The 11th year boy called Helmut, who heard of talking while he was sleeping at bed. The parents were talking very serious things, and when they were talking very serious matter, during that time he was overheard. So his father, who was saying and discussing very serious matter at home, during that time, the Helmut was a 11th-year-old boy lying in bed and listening to the parents a very mysterious events which the parents were talking about. So dear students, as we see that the Helmut father, who was a very prominent physician, and he said that now the time had come to kill the entire family, or else he should commit suicide alone. So during that time, the little boy who heard a very strange discussions, and after that he was moved with a very serious conditions. He was very serious when we heard a very mysterious discussions which was going on between the family, and he was very disturbed by listening such kind of discussions. So students, as the Helmut father said that they wanted to kill by themselves, or else his father would commit suicide. And why his father said such kind of things? Because his father said that the Allied powers will not leave them because they have killed the Jews mercilessly during the war. So here, what the Allied powers will do? The Allied powers will take the revenge and they will kill these Nazi peoples after the war. And during that time, the Helmut father who took the entire family to a place called Woods had their last happy time together, and on the next very day he went to the office and who killed himself. So when he killed himself, the little boy who seen such kind of sins, and he was moved with a very painful conditions. And he was very traumatized, very disturbed that he was refusing to take food at home for the 9 years because he was fearing that his mother will give poisons in the food. That is why he refused to take food for nearly 9 years. So here, why his father was having fear in mind and why he killed himself? Because his father was a very strong supporter of the Nazi party as well as the Hitler. So here the Hitler who killed the Jews very mercilessly. So here the Allied powers will take the revenge. That is why the Helmut's father was having fear in mind. So here, as we see that the Hitler was a very great dictator, was a ambitious person who wanted to conquer the rest of Europe and wanted to establish his supremacy in all European countries. So here, what these Hitler did during his ruling period, he killed the Jews mercilessly. So it was during the Second World War, nearly 50 million Jews who lost their life, who became disabled, who lost their families, who was killed during the wartime. And here, the Hitler, being the ambitious persons, being the dictator, he was responsible for the event. He was responsible for the Second World War, which resulted a great death of the Jewish peoples during the wartime. So here, dear students, as we will see that why the Helmut father who killed himself and what was the basic fear he was having. So as we have discussed that when the war happened, during that time, the Nazi peoples who killed the Jews mercilessly and in which nearly 50 million people who lost their lives and they become homeless, become disabled and such kind of inhumanity activities which happens towards Jews. So here the Germany who lost the war and he was surrendered to the Allied power, and when the Germany was surrendered to Allied power during that time, these Nazi party who were having fear in mind. And here we see the Helmut father who was a strong supporter of Nazi party or a strong supporter of Hitler. So he was having fear in mind that now the time has come to take the revenge for this Allied power. The Allied powers will take revenge to those people who killed the Jews here. So here in May 1945, the Germany who surrendered to the Allies here. And when they surrendered during that time, they were having great fear in mind. So here, as we see that when Germany surrendered during that time, the propaganda minister of Hitler, Goebbels' entire family, they killed themselves because they were having fear in mind that now the Allied powers will kill them and they will destroy them. That is the reasons as we see that these propaganda ministers of Hitler, the Goebbels who were killed by doing suicides. So here, by the end of the war, the International Military Tribunal, which was held at Nuremberg, and who was to set up and declare that the Nazi war was criminals for doing crime against the peace as well as the humanity. So this International Military Tribunal which was set up and declared that the Nazi war was criminal activities which hampered the peace as well as it done many crimes, that is called inhuman activities. So, dear students, as the Nazi party was responsible for the innocent killing, because in the Second World War we see the moral and ethical issues which caused a great devastations in the worldwide. So, as we see, what was the moral and ethical questions which invited the worldwide condemnations. So dear students, as we see, I have been repeatedly telling you that in the Second World War, the Germany who had waged a genocidal war that resulted the murder of innocent killing. So here, according to the report which we see in the history, that nearly 6 million Jews who lost their life. As we see 2 lakhs gypsies peoples who lost their life, 1 million Polish civilians who killed in the war. And here 70,000 German peoples who become disabled with this coming of Second World War. And who was responsible for this Second World War? It is the Hitler who was responsible for the death of all these innocent civilians who lost their lives during the Second World War. So here these international organizations which says that it is a moral issues, the ethical issues which cause the worldwide condemnations. So here we see that the Nazis peoples who targeted the different centers, who killed the Jewish peoples, who killed the many civilians, and at Nuremberg the tribunal, due to all these immoral activities, inhuman activities which was done by the Nazi parties, which was done by the supporter of Hitler, and with that the tribunal, the Nuremberg tribunal who sentenced to these Nazi peoples, the 11 Nazi peoples were sentenced to death because of these immoral activities, because the innocents who killed their life, who lost their lives. So due to that, the 11 Nazis prominent leaders were having sentenced to death. And apart from that, many peoples were in prisons for life. So this is the situations, this is the incidents which was having trembling all around the European countries. So here, as we see that the Helmut father, due to this immoral as well as the innocent killing, he was having a fear in mind that these allied powers will come and they will kill the family. They will destroy the family. That is why he said in the discussions that now the time had come for the killing and suiciding for the entire family, or else he should commit the suicide. Due to all this innocent killing, these Helmut's fathers was having fear in mind, because the allied powers will come and take revenge to them. So dear children, as we see that the punishment for these Jews killing, or the punishment of the Nazi parties, was very shorter than they done the immoral activities, then they done the brutal activities, because these allied power, they did not punish them in such a way which they killed many peoples during the Second World War. So as we see that here, the allied people, they did not take the very harsh steps to kill all the Nazis peoples, all the supporters of Hitler, because their punishment was very shorter compared to the events as well as the crimes they have done towards the innocent peoples. So here, as we see that, my dear children, after the First World War, we can be sure and it can be traced that the Nazi parties who came into rise. So due to all these immoral well as the innocent killing, the Helmut's father was having fear that the Allied powers will come and they will kill those peoples who were involved in the Second World War by killing the innocent people. Thank you so much for listening to me, my dear students.